Welcome to the Dr. BTA Report. I am the AEC Leadership Host. Today we're looking into the rearview mirror. For May 2026, our high-level breakdown of performance, policy, and people across architecture, engineering, and construction. Right now, the industry is navigating a high-stakes gridlock, while advanced data infrastructure and tech-driven mega projects are commanding record-breaking backlogs. A tightening regulatory compliance web and a severe craft retirement cliff are forcing developers to rethink project viability before breaking ground. Let's get straight into the headlines. For architecture, the ABI correction. Billings slide to 48.3 as firm backlog split between the multifamily and institutional sectors. For architecture, global realignment. Firms de-risk portfolios by exiting Chinese design markets and shifting to stable regions. For architecture, the carbon mandate. The Structural Engineering Code Review Team targets strict updates to ASCE 7 and the AEC Steel Manual. For engineering, the grid-to-chip surge. Data center spending spikes 20% year over year, forcing massive infrastructure upgrades. For engineering, the federal energy regulators are moving to rewrite the rules governing AI data center grid interconnections. For engineering, large load threshold contention. Engineering firms lobby to adjust the 20 megawatt baseline to protect standard commercial projects. For construction, industrial dominance. Advanced tech pushes giant contractors to the top of engineering news record rankings, while smaller firms compress. For construction, offsite crossing the tipping point. Labor scarcity forces the widespread adoption of offsite panelized building systems. For construction, the retirement cliff. The industry faces a 20% craft retirement rate, prompting unprecedented mega apprenticeship pacts. That is a massive agenda. Let's break down exactly what this means for your firm's operational excellence and strategic foresight. Architecture segment. The market is entering a distinct phase of moderation. The AII/Deltech Architecture Billings Index retreated modestly to 48.3. This reflects a multi-year stretch of a subdued non-residential design market, meaning more firms are reporting billings contractions than increases. But don't panic just yet. Project inquiries rose to a healthy 57.7, proving that early-stage planning remains active even if clients are delaying final contract signatures. On the policy and portfolio side, we are seeing a massive geopolitical shift. Over 50% of architectural firms handling international work have pivoted entirely away from China, shifting focus toward Canada and East Asia to de-risk their backlogs. Domestically, the growth is heavily bifurcated. Commercial and industrial sectors are lagging, but multifamily residential are 51.5 and institutional specializations are 51.1 are keeping resilient firms moving forward. Ways the talent focus shifting is all about structural carbon auditing. The Structural Engineering Code Review Team has finalized key sections of its carbon reduction report, targeting updates to ASCE 7 and the AEC Steel Manual. Professional competence is shifting from simple spatial layout to predictive data curation. Firm leaders must now use advanced models to validate carbon impacts before a single schematic drawing is even issued. Engineering segment, moving to engineering where demand is roaring, but the grid is hitting a hard ceiling. The grid-to-chip surge is real. Data center construction spending is pacing toward a staggering 17% to 20% year-over-year increase. High-density AI computing is forcing engineers to handle unprecedented power distribution loads, making heavy utility coordination your top priority backlog item. But the biggest story this month is federal intervention. Under Docket number RM264000, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission is moving to expand oversight of AI data center grid connections. They want to fundamentally rewrite transmission planning and how upgrade costs are split between private tech giants and public utilities. Engineering organizations are actively lobbying against the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission's proposed 20 megawatt large load threshold. Why? Because a 20 megawatt baseline is low enough to capture standard industrial parks and large commercial projects by accident, trapping standard design scopes in federal bureaucratic gridlock. To cope with this massive influx of complex work, Engineering firms are leaning hard into automated workflow protocols and ISO 19650 data structures to maximize team utilization as the talent war for power systems engineers caps manual capacity. Construction segment. In construction, industrial dominance is rewriting the leaderboard, but the frontline workforce is facing a demographic cliff. Turner Construction secured a number one spot on Engineering News Records annual contractor rankings, heavily driven by massive contract awards in advanced manufacturing, tech facilities, and public infrastructure. But while mega projects thrive, smaller scale contractors are squeezed by job level margin compression due to cumulative tariff pressures on copper, aluminum, and structural steel. At the same time, compliance enforcement has tightened significantly. Under current federal procurement mandates and strict domestic sourcing audits, all federal contractors must strictly validate their supply chains and labor frameworks. If you build in the public or municipal sphere, immediate internal audits of your procurement SOPs are required to avoid the risk of severe project delays or federal debarment. But the most structural shift we track this month is the workforce deficit. Roughly 20% of the active craft workforce is now nearing retirement. To survive this, major global contractors like Bechtel have initiated sweeping nationwide mega apprenticeship acts with building trade unions to train field-ready talent. Concurrently, the market has officially reached a tipping point for off-site panelized building systems. Industrialized construction is no longer just an efficiency preference. It is a structural necessity to bypass the severe shortage of on-site framers and carpenters. Leadership Masterclass. To advance your professional competence and maintain absolute fiduciary oversight through this economic cycle, here is your Leadership Masterclass roadmap. Implement these 3 no-regret strategies immediately. 1. Adopt symmetrical material escalation. Protect your project margins against metal-intensive infrastructure quotes by structuring contract clauses tied explicitly to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Producer Price Index. Execute interconnection risk mapping for high-density utility or industrial projects. Ensure your early-stage feasibility workflows. Map out localized utility queue backlogs to avoid catastrophic project delays. 3. Transition to transparent compliance reporting. SOP. Review and realign your federal project procurement, domestic material tracing, and compliance documentation to ensure flawless alignment with active federal sourcing mandates. The rearview mirror for May 2026 reveals an industry in transition, balancing intense tech demand against tightening regulations and a shifting labor model. To lead, you have to master the intelligence behind the building. Make sure to watch our April 2026 field review linked below to see the immediate economic and tariff precursors that establish this month's volatile baseline. Subscribe to stay ahead of the curve. Build with precision, lead with vision. I'm Dr. BTA, and I'll see you in the next AEC field review.